Alright guys, this week I want to talk about distance and structure. This is definitely, we're talking in relation to a threat. Distance and structure is one of our fundamentals when you look at the breakdown of the agoge. If you didn't see those videos about the agoge structure and the training structure, go watch that. That'll kind of make a little more sense what I'm talking about. But when we talk distance and structure, we're talking about distance, meaning the spatial relation between you and your threat. When we talk about structure, we're talking about you physically, your posture and your picture. What does your structure look like? Where are you looking? How are you looking? This is your posture picture. So let's start with your basic distance first. Distance for us, what we call a safe zone, is arm length. Arm and a half is better, but all you can realistically maintain is what I can physically touch. So that is what we call arm's length. This is what we call a safe zone. So that is the distance that we want. We want this safe zone. A lot of times in fights you see them, especially guys, you go head to head, talking trash, shoulder to shoulder, bumping. You've got inside that safe zone, so it's pretty easy to get cracked. Pretty easy for them to throw something, pull out something you weren't aware of because you've given up that space. So we have to get back to that safe zone. So we're going to call that's our distance or our safe zone. That we can physically maintain by simply moving, and if they move in fast, we can maintain by trying to maintain that distance by pushing off and stepping. Our ultimate goal though is trying to maintain that safe zone. So that's distance. Structure now, it's a little bit to it. Structure itself is your basic stance, your physical posture, what we call a fence. That is some kind of a structure that allows me to be both defensive and offensive at a very quick rate. If you sacrifice distance and your hands are down, now you've given up both. Your structure is weak and you've given up that safe zone. So understand, when we're talking about structure, I'm talking about you physically. What does your posture look like? Are the shoulders high? Is your chin low? Are your hands up? Are you in a position where you could push off your back foot quickly? Could you quickly move angle to angle? This is your basic structure. We'll get a little more into this once it's part of the program, but I just want to give you a general understanding. So that is your structure. Now keep in mind, you have different types of structure you would do with your hands based on the scenario. If you look at this, we tend to have hands open. Could be hands back. Either way, the hands are open because once your hands close, this is almost like an agreement. So if you walk up, let's say you're an observer, you walk up on two people and they both got their hands up talking trash. That your automatic opinion of that is there's no self-defense scenario. There's no oh, he was protecting himself. This is a mutual fight. So the way we negate that is you have to take into consideration all the people watching and then you specifically, what am I telling that threat? So by hands up, we're kind of saying, hey, you know what, I don't want the trouble, but we're still in a position that if something came at us, we have the ability to defend it, deflect it, redirect it, because our structure is solid. Our hands are up. So when we talk about this stuff, we'll get more specific, whether hands out, hands up. It's just some type of a fence. Hand cross, hand up. This is a fence. This is a fence. This is a fence. So we'll talk a little bit more which tactically is better to choose and based on scenario. For now, just understand that is our structure. What my physical posture looks like, feet position, where my weight distribution is, elbows are down, shins down, shoulders are high, protecting. Remember, ultimately we're trying to protect the computer. You got to stay conscious. If you get knocked out, done, you're at the mercy of whatever it is or whoever is there. So we're trying to stay conscious, so our structure reflects that. We're trying to keep everything protected, hands up, shoulders high, to protect your computer. So understand that first. Now, picture. Remember, we have posture, picture. Posture being your structure, picture being where are you looking. For those who've been in this industry, you kind of realize when you're dealing with a threat, the more verbal, the more aggressive, the more profanity that comes out of this person's mouth, the smaller your world gets. Because you get focused on that individual, you're watching their face, you're watching their mouth, you're watching their neck bob back and forth. So what happens is your world that started out like this becomes very, very small. So what it does is it does not allow you to start seeing other things. So we call this direct line of sight. So if you're within my safe zone or outside my safe zone, I'll look eye to eye. It's not a problem there. Once you step within what I think you can feasibly get to me, like specifically now or in very short order, my eyesight will drop. So we're talking about direct line of sight versus indirect or big picture looking. So direct line of sight is what you use to see detail. Direct line of sight sees detail very well, but it's at the sacrifice of movement. And big picture or indirect line of sight sees movement very quickly, can pick it up, but you sacrifice detail. So you have to look at, in the scenario you're looking at, I need to know specifically where things are coming from. But I don't need to see exactly, was his finger up, finger down, thumb in, thumb out. I don't care, but I need to be able to see that threat. Especially if you have a scenario where someone's walking up on you, but they're not actually the threat, they're the distraction because their buddy's coming out over here at 3 o'clock and he's going to be the actual threat. But if I'm involved with this guy paying attention to what they're doing, remember, you start getting this verbal, this vacuum will start sucking in here, and I'm only seeing them now, and I start missing things. We do this drill, and it's just kind of to understand this basic concept. I'll have someone come up who has not done this, stand with their hands to their side, and I'll walk right up on them and say, just watch my face, just watch my face, watch this, watch that, pay attention to my eyes, and I'll just pick up my hand nice and slow and tap them with it. And they have no clue because they were sucked into that vacuum. We'll do the same drill now that they understand this, and we'll have them stand the same place, but I say now, once I get within what you feel I could touch you, or in short order touch you, I want you to drop your eyesight down to this, what we call the T-zone, or the collarbone. All movement is dictated through this. I will see this move no matter what I'm doing, you're gonna see it start here. So what we do is we drop our line of sight, that direct line of sight, we go indirect line of sight, and now I'm looking here. Because what I'm watching for are any movement cues. Someone coming out from the side, his hand lifting, his foot pivoting, all these things I can now see because I've taken my focus directly off his face where all the venom and all the profanity and everything spews. And I drop it to here because now I'm in operation mode. Now I'm watching the cues. Okay, is the body shifting? Is his hand picking up? You're able to see this. So that is what we call indirect or big picture. We call it, it's using your peripherals. It's seeing outside your peripherals. Everybody has a peripheral from about, straight out here up to your center mass. Think about it this way. It's like you're watching one person. Your eyes, your face looks like it's over there, but you're actually, without turning your head or your eyes, you're actually watching somebody over here. That's using your peripherals, that soft focus or indirect line of sight. So I hope that makes sense. That is distance and structure, which breaks down to posture and picture. So as always, guys, train like your life depends on it, because it does.